So let's face it, there are a ton of cameras out there. Most of them look the same and kind of do the same thing. And then there's this, the Nikon P1100. Is it a camera or is it a telescope? I've been a P1000 owner for quite some time, and that was discontinued, and now it's the P1100. Unfortunately, it's the same thing as the P1000 basically, just a couple of extra ports and very few changes. The same sensor, the same optics, the same lens. So if you have the P1000, you do not have to upgrade to the P1100, but if you did not have the P1000 and always wanted it, but it was discontinued and you couldn't get it new, now's your opportunity to get the P1100. Get it before it runs out of stock. The P1000 was out of stock a lot too because the camera is so unique, but it's not just a one-trick pony. Yes, there is an incredible 3000 millimeter equivalent zoom. You know, if you wanted to get that kind of zoom on a full-frame camera or even an APS-C camera, well, you just couldn't. The optics wouldn't work, physics wouldn't work, the lens would have to be so big and so expensive. So if you're a wildlife shooter and you have to get in as tight as possible, you're really far away, well, then you've got nothing to yap about. Lonely? And this is the reason this camera is so popular with wildlife shooters. But there is one big frustration. Since the camera's autofocus really hasn't been updated, it can be kind of finicky, kind of hunt. So I want to give you a tip to help avoid disappointments because you lost the shot. If your subject is relatively stationary, like this bird just hanging out, it's not that hard, but a lot of times you'll have busy backgrounds and the wildlife will be moving. So let's just simulate what I'm talking about here. When you're near the top of the zoom range is when you'll see the problem, especially if there's distractions. Notice how it hunted and lost focus. As soon as you recapture your focus, hit the autofocus lock button. You'll see in the lower left, it'll say AFL, and the autofocus lock button is right on the back of the camera, and you can actually program it to be exposure and focus lock too if you want, but I find it to be a lifesaver. When you're at high zoom, sometimes you may want to use the snapback button, which is very helpful if you lose your subject because you're zoomed in so tight. By pressing that button, the camera quickly zooms back out so you can reorient yourself. But it won't work while you're actually recording, unfortunately. Now, the camera retains the same sensor as the P1000, a backside illuminated 16 megapixel sensor. It has very good image stabilization, which they call vibration reduction. Comes with a nice viewfinder and flip-out screen, 4K 30 video. You can shoot RAW, and it has a built-in flash too. Now, your eyes may not see a bird in that tree, but the P1100 can, thanks to its incredible zoom. And the camera has a dedicated bird mode on the dial, which helps facilitate shooting birds. And speaking about birds, there's also a pre-shooting cache, which is like a pre-capture mode. So it will actually capture the action before you fully press the shutter button down. For example, here I press the shutter button down at 2 minutes exactly, but the camera gives me shots before I press the shutter. The P1100 also keeps the moon mode from the P1000, which gives you assistance in shooting the moon. You can change the hue. It automatically invokes the self-timer. I used to think, how many times can you really shoot the moon? But I was really wrong after seeing other people's work with the P1000 and P1100. And for astrophotography, if you know what you're doing and you can stack photos and use software, I don't, and if you don't also, you can expect results like this for Jupiter and for Saturn. But again, if you know what you're doing, wow, you really can get some amazing results.
Pretty cool, huh?
It actually has a cult following among flat earthers, and up till recently I didn't realize what that was, but apparently people that believe the Earth is flat use this camera as an example.
And the Earth is?
Flat. Flat.
The Earth is flat.
If you are a flat earther, drop me a comment because I still don't fully understand how this proves that the Earth is flat, but let me know. Again, people love this camera for all sorts of reasons. Because it does a lot of cool things. The camera has slow motion. It has fast motion if you want to do that, or more useful, time-lapse in 1080p. Can't decide between taking pictures and video? If you're shooting a video and you hit the shutter button, it'll take a picture as indicated here, and it doesn't come out half bad. Also, something I haven't seen in any camera, while you're recording video, if you hit the OK button, it'll pause the video in the middle, leaving you with one continuous file as opposed to it being broken up into different files. There's also a 24mm wide-angle lens built into this baby as well. Being able to go from really wide to medium to up close without having to change a lens or change cameras makes this camera so versatile, and you can even use it for travel. Not only can you be far away and get close, you can also be close and get close with the near macro lens of the camera. Now, I go into a lot more detail about what you can do with this camera and more of the features and how to. I have a whole tutorial series on the Nikon P950, P1000, which is the same guts as the P1100, so 99% of that will apply. Please check that out if you really want to learn how to use the camera. The focus can be a little confusing. You can really customize a lot of things like the zoom, and there's really more there than meets the eye. So I invite you to check out these tutorial videos. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some downsides to this camera too. Even though it's the new model, as I said, it's basically the P1000, a model that was released around 2018. So the autofocus is not great. 16 megapixel sensor, you really can't crop into your photos too well. And it's a small sensor, about the size of your cell phone. So don't use this in low light. The grain is gonna start to pick up, the gain is gonna start to pick up. Even though the stabilization is really good. I mean, look at these videos. I'm hand holding, but it's really hard to get a shot at 3000 millimeters. It's a very slight shutter lag. And then of course, any little bit of motion is going to be magnified, and the lens does soften up a little bit out to 3000 millimeters. While it's a great camera for traveling because of that zoom range, unfortunately, it's not weather sealed, so you don't want to get caught in the rain. And while considering what it can do, it's really not that heavy. But if you're out all day, traveling, walking around all day, you'll start to feel it if you're carrying it around your shoulder or in your hand. The only camera that really comes close to this camera is Nikon's P950, which is like slimmed down brother of the P1100. It's also lighter and easy to travel with, but still has a whopping 2000 millimeter zoom. So that's nothing to sneeze at either.
I have to sneeze.
So do I recommend the P1100? Yes, I do. There's really no other camera like it. The only other camera that was like it was the P1000. Basically the same camera, re-released, but that's okay. At least it's still available for everybody to get and buy new. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate your support, and we'll see you in the next video.